No Trey, no trouble. No Giannis, big yikes. Plus, how do you bet this friggin' series? That and more as we bring you Heat Check, presented by the Action Network and BetMGM. I'm Matt Moore, senior NBA writer for the Action Network, joined by Chris Raybon and Raheem Palmer. And we're going to be bringing you everything you need to know to bet Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Finals between the Milwaukee Bucks and the Atlanta Hawks. Let's get you up to date on what's going on with all of the injuries in this game. Trae Young with a bruised bone in his foot is out. He will not play in this game. That was announced roughly about 30 to 45 minutes ago. Giannis was announced out earlier this afternoon. So no Giannis Antetokounmpo for the Milwaukee Bucks, no Trae Young. Obviously, the Hawks had no problems in Game 4 without Trae putting a beatdown on Milwaukee in the game where Giannis did get hurt in the second half. The line before the Trae news was 2.5. It's moved all the way to 4.5 now at BetMGM. So serious movement after Young was announced out. It does appear that the books put this in the middle of between expecting Trae to play and not expecting to play. And the market has taken it from there based on the adjustment. The new series prices for this series, you can look at and see this morning, the Bucks were minus 125. Now they're minus 145 to win the series. The Hawks were plus 105. They've moved to plus 120. So we're caught up on the news. Raheem Palmer, let's start with you. Let's just get to the big bet of the night. How do you bet this game given the injuries to both superstars?
Okay, I'm taking the Hawks plus 1 in the second quarter. First things first, not only are the Bucks missing Giannis Antetokounmpo, but they are missing Dante DiVincenzo, and that's a big loss. So that's just one less body that they have to play. So that means that either Portis or Connaughton is going to move to the starting lineup. That means it's going to weaken their second unit. So you look at their bench, they have Thanasis, they have Teague, they have Jordan Hora. Do you trust those guys in a playoff situation? I don't. I think you can expect a fast start from the Bucks without Giannis because, these teams, they like to step up in the absence of their star, but that also means that there's a letdown period. And I think the letdown period comes in the second quarter. The Hawks have a lot more shot creators in depth. When you look at their team, they have Bogdanovich, they have Lou Will, they have Herter, Gallinari, they have Reddish, they have Nkungwa. So I just trust the Hawks second unit a lot better. I think, they have more shot creators to where, they can bring guys off the bench. They can, bring Bogdanovich out early and, playing with the second unit. So I'm taking the Hawks second quarter, and they should be able to get it done against this thin Bucks team.
So I don't mind it based off of the adjustments with a starter, with a bench player having to fill in for the starter. Okongwu's played absolutely amazing. Like, he's been a big part of their lift in that second quarter. I do kind of wonder if the carriage is going to turn back into a pumpkin. I do have a stat for you, Raheem, and I want to get your thoughts on it. Do you know who has the best net rating in this series for the Bucks? It's Bobby Portis. So if Portis doesn't start, he's been winning his minutes. Do you feel comfortable knowing going in that Bobby's been really giving them a boost off the bench? Forbes has won his minutes as well. Like, so far, what you're saying hasn't been the case. The Bucks are more likely going to play their starters more because they can't afford not to, and the two guys that they've been playing off the bench have actually played well. Does that make you nervous at all about this?
It actually doesn't make me nervous. I think at some point, you just run out of bodies, and I just don't think Bud has it in him to play just 7 guys. We haven't seen him do that for most of his time as a coach, and I don't trust Bud. If I knew that he was going to go out there and be Mike D'Antoni and play his starters more, I wouldn't take this bet, but this is a fate of Bud, and I trust the Hawks' depth, so I'm rolling with it.
Okay, role players play better at home. You're fading that principle. We'll see what happens. Raybon, I'm excited to learn who it is that you're going to drop some hate on in this game after dropping so much hate on Paul George the last few times that we've been out. Who is tonight's victim of Chris Raybon's hatred?
The entire Bucks roster after Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton, not in that order. Let me say it right. Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday. Listen, I have a lot of respect for the Bucks. I thought the team could take the Nets to 7 and even win that series when Kyrie and Harden were still healthy. So I have a lot of respect for this team. However, I think people are underestimating the loss of Giannis to the Bucks relative to the loss of Trae to the Hawks. Like, yes, they're both teams' best player. They're both teams' star player. But Giannis Antetokounmpo is a 2-time MVP. Even in this series, his offensive rating has been 123. Trey's has been 105. Giannis has been, Trey had the big game, but Giannis has been so impactful. And I just think this Bucks team, even with Giannis, their offense tended to get stagnant. I think you just put so much on the plate of Middleton and Holiday. I think both of them have to have such a good game for the Bucks to win this game. And now you're talking about weighing points with them, because I think this is a toss-up. It's tough to cap. You have two amazing players out, but you look at the Hawks, and for all the same reasons Raheem said he likes them for the second quarter, I like them for the game, plus 4.5, because the Hawks have 7 guys still legitimately that could give you 20 points. You have Gallo, you have Bogey, you have Lou, you have Herder could drop 20 on you in a given situation. Cam Reddish, I think, was a big addition. He played over 20 minutes last game. He gave Middleton a lot of problems. So all these factors kind of lead me to say, there's more outs for the Hawks. There's more ways I think the Hawks could win this game, whereas the Bucks, I think you have to get good games out of Drew and Middleton, and then you still have so little margin for error. Whereas I think the Hawks have a greater margin for error. And you look at Milwaukee, I mean, they've only had 4 other players outside of Giannis averaging more than 5.5 points this series: Middleton, Holiday, Portis, Lopez. The Hawks, they have 7: Collins, Herder, Reddish, Bogdanovich, Capella, Williams. All those guys can step up. You don't know who it's going to be. It makes it tough for the Bucks to adjust. And then you have Mike Budenholzer versus Nate McMillan. And I'll just say this. I've given Budenholzer his credit at points where I thought he got over-criticized, but the bottom line is Nate McMillan's 34-21-1, 62% against the spread since taking over as Atlanta's head coach. This season, 47, 46%. That's a 16% difference. The Hawks outperform expectations while the Bucks fall short, and it's asking a lot for a coach that doesn't make good adjustments as it is to adjust on the fly to his star player being out when you have to a deep team where one of 7 guys could beat you. I just think it's a tall task for Budenholzer. So I'm with the Budenholzer fade, but full game.
I have a question for you, Chris. So the team that has covered has won 38 out of 40 games in this postseason. So would you recommend also taking the Hawks to win outright, given what we've seen? Okay.
Absolutely. I actually, if you follow me in the Action app, I got in a little bit. I put a half unit on each just when the line was kind of in the middle, because before Trey got ruled in or out. And now I'm going to hit it again with a half on the money and a half on the game. So I'll have 1 unit on Hawks money line, 1 unit on the spread, just in case it's a close game. But I could see, if you want to mess with some alt lines, like I could see a blowout either way. If you do like the Hawks, I also recommend maybe looking into, Hawks by 9 or 10 or something like that and get some really juicy plus money odds, because I just think the market is slightly overrating the Bucks in this situation. I think this should be a pick 'em.
We got some Brandon Anderson action here, Raheem Palmer, with the alt lines going all in.
I love it. I love it.
So I will respond by going ahead and giving my pick. I'm on Milwaukee minus 2.5. So I was 7-0 in the conference finals, picking spreads or money line going into Game 5. Giannis was leading that team on a comeback trail. After that game, I think that there's been a massive overreaction the other way, and we've seen this a lot versus the Bucks this season. Just that, like in the postseason, especially because they don't win pretty, everyone has really overreacted, and everyone overreacted to the Clippers similarly going into Game 6. I liked the Suns last night because everyone was like, boy, I don't know. Like, this Suns offense is just terrible. It's garbage. And then they dropped the 135.
Shots at Raheem. Shots.
No.
You hear those shots?
Chris,
you hear
that's
those
not
shots,
true.
Raheem?
I'm not taking shots at Raheem. I'm taking shots at Justin Fan. Let's be very specific.
Oh, no, you can't do that. He's not even on the show.
He can't even defend himself. That's a low blow.
Jesus, that's a Pat Bev. Matt Moore just Pat Bev Justin Fan, ladies and gentlemen.
So here's the idea, okay? You wonder, like, well, how are they going to score without Giannis? I'm actually not necessarily playing the Hawks or playing the Bucks offense. I'm playing against the Hawks defense, which has been bad this series and in general. Like, the Sixers dominated them and just fell apart in fourth quarters. The Bucks have gotten whatever they've wanted consistently, and they've still shot under expectations. If the Bucks have one game at home where they just play to expectation, they're still going to be able to beat this team. And I got it at 2.5. At 4.5, I get a little bit more nervous about it. I think I probably still like it to 5. Anything more than that, if the line moves before tip-off to 5 or more, I would stay away from it entirely. But look, this Bucks offense, I think, because they won't have Giannis, it's a non-shooter on the floor running ISO against Capella. And Giannis has been great in this series, but they can actually run some more offense, get the ball moving, actually generate more looks. They've had guys step up there. The Bucks bench, like I mentioned, have won their minutes. Bobby Portis has been great. If you're going to tell me that Bobby Portis has a plus versus this Hawks team, I think you're in a pretty good spot here. And then offensively for the Hawks, like Chris rattled off all these guys. Let's go back over some of those dudes. So it's like, oh, Cam Reddish is averaging 11.5 points in this series. Yeah, after he had one game where he came back from an Achilles and actually played well in an outlier. He hasn't played like that in months. Gallinari has managed to hit tough shots in this series. I do not trust Danilo Gallinari to win his minutes. I'm sorry, I don't. I don't trust Lou Williams, who has a bad playoff history, to win his minutes. I'm sorry, I don't. I trust Bogdanovich. I'm worried about Matt, Bogdanovich.
These guys can at least create offense for themselves. Where it's like you say the Bucks can create like they'll play free or the ball move, but like really it's all on Middleton and Holiday to generate offense. And we've seen them stagnate. Like I think the biggest adjustment as the Bucks got deeper into the postseason was Giannis just simply not settling. That's what made the Bucks offense go. You're talking about a 2-time MVP off the floor. Will that offense generation really be as easily when you have to, everyone can take it down a notch in terms of who they prioritize? And let's also remember, Cam Reddish doesn't need to take a shot. He played excellent defense on Chris Middleton, but Middleton has to show up. So if Middleton gets in foul trouble, if Middleton is shut down by Reddish, that's a big issue, and Reddish doesn't have to take a shot. I just think the depth wins out for Atlanta.
The depth is key. Look, we're talking about trusting Pat Connaughton, Thanasis, touch me, teague me over Lou Williams and
but that's Bogdanovich. The point. Whoa. Look, Lou Williams has historically been one of the worst playoff players in NBA history.
Can Lou Williams drop 30 and like
Lou Williams has a 50-point game against the Warriors in the playoffs.
I mean, can Lou give up? Can Lou give up a 145 offensive?
But Trey was getting roasted.
Brent Forbes. Brent Forbes can't stop anybody.
I like the Bucks minus 2.5. We'll have to see. We'll see who's right.
I mean, you're 7-0, and you victory lapped that, but. So I'm scared to phase you.
We'll see how it goes tonight. It could be off once again. It may just be as simple as no Giannis, they can't win. But
I'm so confused because Matt's fading Justin. He's taking shots at Justin Fan, but he's 7-0. Like I don't know who to trust anymore. Like
it's crazy. Yeah, the world's upside down. The world really is upside down right now. Let's go to the wheel, which is our prop wheel. We select a number of props, and we have to prepare for all of them and have a position over or under, but you don't know which one you're going to get. Raheem Palmer, are you ready to start with the wheel?
I'm born ready. Let's go.
Evan Abrams, let's spin the wheel for Raheem Palmer. All right. PJ Tucker rebounds 5.5. What do you like, Raheem?
I like the over here. I mean, PJ Tucker has hit this in the first 3 games of this series. And then more importantly, Giannis is out, which means that PJ is going to have way more rebounding opportunities. And I also think we're going to see the Bucks crash the boards a little bit more just because they had to find other ways of generating offense. PJ Tucker's been one of the best offensive rebounders in the league. He's going to play with some effort. He knows he has to step up. So give me the over here. I think he hits that rather easily.
Yeah, I can see that happening. I mean, it depends if Lou Williams shoots 90% like Chris thinks, then there may not be enough rebounds to go around. But like other than that, I think it's a pretty solid play. It's actually surprising to me that he's had this many because it feels like Tucker's been kind of invisible. So that's a really good find to kind of like beat the expectation and the eye test there. I think I like that position quite a bit. Raybon, are you ready for the wheel?
Let's do it.
All right, let's spin the wheel for Chris Raybon. Kevin Huerter rebounds 3.5. What do you like?
I got to go over on a short line. Listen, she's been over in 5 of the 8 since he got inserted into the lineup. But more importantly, I think this Bucks offense, as you guys alluded to, is going to change drastically without Giannis. You know, Giannis was attacking the rim, attacking the paint. These players that are going to be around Holiday and Middleton are really guys that are going to have to hit the long ball. That's how they're going to have to play. And so Holiday and Middleton will shoot their fair share as well. So I think you're going to see some longer rebounds. And this is just a short number. Even if he hadn't gone over in 5 of 8 as a starter or in the last 2, I just think he's going to be on the floor 30 to 35 minutes, maybe even a couple more on a team that's going to shoot a lot of 3-pointers. You're going to get to one per quarter more often than not.
The Bucks in that first half were really jumper heavy. Like they just settled a lot. I don't know if that means that they're going to attack more in this game just based off of adjusting and trying to attack that weak interior defense of the Hawks. But I don't mind it because like if they do settle again, I do think you're probably right that a lot of it's going to be pick and roll, force them to bring help, and then kick out to shooters. I like that quite a bit. All right, I'm ready for the wheel whenever you are, Evan Abrams. Let's see what you got for me. Jrue Holiday assists 9.5. Now, I couldn't believe that how high this line was. And it's actually juiced, I found, to the over at BetMGM. Like they're expecting Jrue Holiday to have like a 25-11 game, which I'm a little skeptical of. I'm actually going to play a little bit more specific on this. So for starters, Jrue is unsurprisingly the leading assist giver to Giannis Antetokounmpo. He averages 2.6 assists in the playoffs to Giannis. So no Giannis fundamentally changes that pick and roll option. Brook Lopez is going to take more jumpers out of the pick and pop. That's probably a lower percentage wise, even if the numbers work out efficiency because of him taking threes versus Giannis, right? So he can take fewer shots, but be more efficient, but that does mean fewer assists for Jrue. I think he's going to have to opt for a lot more scoring. I'm anticipating that the Hawks are going to play drop coverage a lot in this game. They don't have to worry about the rim attack as much with Giannis, and you don't have to worry about switching as much versus Giannis either. So they can play a little bit more drop and dare Jrue Holiday. And the big thing with drop is that you get to keep your guys home on the shooter. So you can stay home on Bryn Forbes and Chris Middleton and even Brook Lopez space to the corner. You can stay home on those guys, make Jrue Holiday make tough contested shots, which is what Raybon's a little bit nervous about him being able to do. The chemistry between Jrue Holiday and Chris Middleton is not excellent. They don't run a lot of guard pick and roll. So I don't think there's a lot of options there. So I think that while I like the Bucks in this game, I think this number's a little high. If it was like 7.5, I definitely like the over, but at 9.5, I have to go under here on Jrue Holiday assists, even if I like the Bucks in this game. All right, our final segment. It's an old axiom in betting. You got to fade the public because supposedly they don't know anything, though our followers on Twitter tend to do pretty well in this segment. But we asked you on Twitter, the Bucks team total tonight is 109.5, over or under. And you chose the under with 69.5% of the vote. 70% of you think that the Bucks can't get to 110 versus this vaunted, tough Hawks defense. So, Raheem Palmer, I'll ask you, do you like the over or the under? Are you with the people or not?
I'm with the people. There is some sharp money on the over today, but I can't agree with it. I mean, when you look at this Bucks offense, they're even with Giannis, they have an offensive rating of just 109.5 in this series. And then this is not a very fast-paced series. They're just playing at a pace of 95.9. So it's just tough to go over here. And then here's the thing. Without Giannis, this team becomes a lot more jumper heavy. So with Giannis, 35% of their attempts come at the rim. Without Giannis, 29%. They also get to the free throw line less. It's 19.3 per 100 possessions with Giannis, and the free throw rate without Giannis is 15.6. So I have a hard time believing that this team that's going to get really jumper heavy in the playoffs, and a lot of these guys are going to have to play heavy minutes without Giannis and DiVincenzo, is going to consistently be able to hit these jumpers. Now, if they can prove me wrong, but we've seen the Bucks throughout the playoffs. The last couple of years, they struggle to hit their jumpers. So I'm gonna roll with the public here. I think this goes under. I mean, at least the Bucks team total goes under because we know the Hawks have guys who can put up some points.
Boy, you guys like this Hawks team a lot. All right, Chris Raybon, I'm going to assume, given everything that you've said tonight, that you are not going to support the Bucks in their efforts to get over 110 points.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm going under, but I think the public's spot on, and the reason is, again, let's be honest. This is one of the tougher games to handicap. I mean, they're throwing a Giannis injury at us. They're throwing a Young injury at us. Like, it's just a lot going on. But what I like to do in these situations is just take a step back, look at it in terms of the paths for each team, depending on the outcome and how that would affect the prop I'm betting. So in this case, even though I personally don't like the Bucks, I can see a path to victory with them scoring a low amount of points because you have Middleton and Holiday who are going to take a mid-range game threes, but they're going to take a lot of mid-rangers. And then you have a bunch of guys around them that are kind of defense focused, Tucker and Portis and guys like that, gritty guys who really they're going to stand back and watch, Lopez. They're going to watch Middleton and Holiday work. So remember that Nets game where I think it was like 86-83 or something like that. Like the Bucks can win that way. And so I can see the Bucks struggling on offense because they're without the two-time MVP and going under this number, or I can see the Bucks taking care of business and still going over this number because, to your point, Hawks going on a roll. Maybe the role players just don't get it done without trade this game. So I just see multiple outs for me to hit the under on this bet. So I got to go under 109.5 and agree with the public.
Okay, well, I think you and the public are wrong. I think all of you are wrong, and I'm going over, not just because I like the Bucks in this game. So something to consider here. I looked up while Raheem was talking, because it's a really good point about the pace in this series. Funny story, with Giannis off the court in this series, they're running at 3 possessions faster. They're actually running at 101 with Giannis not on the floor. There's a difference. This is one of the things that we get caught into, I think, when we talk about pace in the NBA. Mm-hmm. There's a difference between pace and tempo. Okay. We tend to think of pace as like fast break, but you can increase the number of possessions that are in a game by not using up the whole clock. Do you know what's a huge time suck on the Bucks offense? Giannis sizing up dudes for 13 seconds before driving into them for his power up move. Like, he gets that ball, he backs up, he waits, and then he tries that spin move, gets to the rim, and it's been working great because, again, the Hawks defense is trash. And so he's been able to do that. They're going to be moving a lot more tonight. They're going to get the Hawks in rotation, I think, a lot more. And that, I think, is going to improve the efficiency. I also think that Jrue Holiday and Chris Middleton will get into their stuff faster. I think being at home and playing with a sense of urgency without Giannis, they will play a little bit faster. The fast break opportunities may not be there, but they can still make up for that with the tempo of this game. And really, like I said, this Hawks defense is not very good. Danilo Gallinari is a bad defender. Lou Williams is a bad defender. John Collins is a pretty good defender, but he's having a really hard time with his matchup. Other than that, they don't have any good defenders. They don't have any good. Maybe Okongwu as a rookie. That's something you can feel good about, I guess. But other than that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to trust the Bucks offense. I think there's a scenario where the Bucks lose a shootout. I think there's a scenario where the Bucks dominate and hold the Hawks to a low number, but are able to get out and score efficiently because they're holding them and running off of that improved defense. The Hawks shot way over expectation based off of shot quality in Game 5. That comes back down to earth a little bit, or in Game 4 rather. That comes back down to earth a little bit in Game 5. The Bucks are able to run off of it. I'll take the over and go against everybody. I'll go against everybody.
I speak for the public. I think I speak for the public when I say, what the best defense the Hawks have? All of the Bucks roster outside of Chris Middleton and Jrue Holiday. That's great defense. The offense is going to bog down and be stagnant when you're looking for PJ Tucker or Lopez or Connaughton to create to get open. Like that. It's just that's the Hawks defense.
I mean, Matt is on the sharp side, so I got to give him a little credit, even though I disagree. But I mean, when you're dependent on all of these guys that hit open jumpers, I can't do it. So
look, I'm very much in the situation where I'm like, I guess I'm just going to play the numbers here versus how it feels betting the Bucks. That's basically where I'm at in this game. I don't feel great about it, but I got to trust my instincts. We'll see what happens tonight. To recap here on Heat Check presented by BetMGM. Raheem Palmer's got Atlanta +1 in the second quarter. PJ Tucker over 5.5 rebounds. And Milwaukee to score less than 110 points. Raybon's got the Hawks +3, the Hawks money line, the Hawks alt line, the Hawks all the way, the Hawks to win the series, the Hawks to win the title, the Hawks to take out the Monsters in Space Jam, the Hawks to take out the Monsters in Space Jam 2, A New Legacy. Herter over 3.5 rebounds, and Milwaukee to score under 110 points. I've got the Milwaukee Bucks -2.5, and I'm going to go throw up in a bag because of it. The Jrue Holiday under 9.5 assists, and the Bucks to score over 110 points. What can go wrong? This has been Heat Check presented by BetMGM. We'll be back next week as we head into the NBA Finals between the Phoenix Suns and to be decided. We'll see you guys again next week for another edition of Heat Check presented by BetMGM. Thanks for joining us.